Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a DIY Dollar Tree Hobby Lobby Autumn Dupes. I was so excited to see that they had these signs at Hobby Lobby for way a lot of money, and they looked so similar to the signs that they had at the Dollar Tree that we could redo for a lot less money. Even at 40% off, that sign was still over $4. So I found this one at the Dollar Tree and it had its little banner ripped off. I'm sure that was just like an oversight, but I bought it because if I wasn't going to buy it, nobody was going to, and it would go in a landfill, and you know how that is. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean off our table. No, honestly, what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to take some white chalk paint. You don't have to use chalk paint. I just use it because it dries really fast and I have it readily available at my hands. And I'm going to fill in that banner. Of course, this is not necessary. The banner that came with this is sort of a gray kind of thing. And it's three-dimensional, so it was like raised on there. So I'm just going to kind of try to duplicate, but not really 100% copy this sign from Hobby Lobby. The sign from Hobby Lobby I wanted to show you guys because it pretty much is almost exactly the sign from the Dollar Tree. But what I want to do is just be able to create like a pumpkin spice sign for myself. Now the first thing I did was I added a little sandpaper because the sign was ripped off and it kind of created a little hole in the cardboard. So I just went ahead and I just sanded that smooth. I don't want to have to worry about ripping paper off or anything. So I put down a coat of white chalk paint. It's got these lines and it helps you like fill in the lines. And now I'm taking a little bit of the Castle Gray and a flat edge paintbrush from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just using the chisel tip to create like a line, and I'm drawing the paint away from the overlaps and the seams. And what that's doing is creating a shadow. Now, if you have to look at the reference material, you can always look back at what the original artist did for the original sign and just duplicate what they had. But what we're just going to do is we're going to create, this is how we create dimension. This is like painting 102. This is foregrounds, backgrounds, shadows, and shading. Okay? Now I just realized that I think that was the Spanish moss first, and then I'm going back over with the Castle Gray to really create those very distinctive lines. Now, one of the things I want to teach you about Painting 101, the first thing that I ever learned was to look with your eyes, not with your mind. And when you look with your eyes, you can see things that are created in these layers. Even look at the shadow that's being cast on the table. There is a very dark line with a very sharp edge because the board has a very sharp edge, so that the shadow will have a very sharp edge when the light source is that close to it. And I'm just creating like the different layers. A little bit of highlight on the ribbon, a little bit of low lights underneath on the underside of the ribbon, and I'm doing that for both sides. And now I'm taking a very, very light amount of paint, really dry brushing back and forth with the color and the white just to create a dimension in the ribbon center to make sure the ribbon flows. Now I'm counting how many letters are in the word pumpkin spice life. You guys know about letter spacing. We've done this lots of times on the channel before. But you want to count the letters and the spaces, and you want to basically count a half for the letter I, unless you're going to have a line at the top and the bottom. So basically what I'm doing is I'm counting pumpkin spice life, finding the center of the letter. So if it's P-U-M-P, you know, like that, and then finding the center letter and trying to line that up in the center of the board, which then I realized wasn't necessary because this ribbon isn't perfectly centered anyway, whatever. So one of the things that I'm going to point out is when you are writing on a curved surface like the curved banner, you want your letters to follow that curve along. Imagine if there was if this ribbon was straight, you would draw like a straight line on the bottom and the top. So say it's a 1/4 inch from the edge of the ribbon to the bottom of the letter. Even as the ribbon curves, you want to go ahead and create that same 1/4 inch distance between the bottom of the ribbon and the bottom of the letter. Now, if the letters curve to the right, you want to make sure that the letters curve to the right as well. I mean, as the ribbon curves, you want the words to curve. So I just decided to write it with Sharpie because I find it very simple to do that, especially with lettering. I find it easier for you guys. There's lots of times where we do paint the letters on, but this is just much easier for you guys too. If you want to invest in a really good set of Sharpie markers in all the colors, you can basically do this whatever color you want. Then, because I wanted to show you that I can mess up, I mess up a lot. This is after counting and spacing all the letters. I still managed to make this uneven. So what I decided to do then was to put a little cup, like a to-go coffee cup, because pumpkin spice lattes is really what it's all about, right, people? But then I said, you know what? I really wanted to make this about pumpkin pie. So I put a slice of pumpkin pie. Hindsight being what it was, I should have swapped them. The pumpkin pie was a little wider and should have been on the right. And the coffee cup was a little narrower and should have been on the left. But it's okay. I love the way it came out. It looks super cute on the wall. I know this was super fast, so don't forget, you can always slow the video down up in the settings, okay? But this is how it came out. Super cute. Cost me just $1, no $4 and change. Even with the cost of paint, it would not be that much money. This is the sign I wanted to replicate. Even 40% off, it was still $8. And I know it's a little bit bigger than the sign from the Dollar Tree. This is the other option. And literally, Dollar Tree like copied this sign from Hobby Lobby. It is a tiny bit smaller, but not by much. I think that one is 15 inches and I think this one is 14. So this is the one that we're going to do, to redo, to duplicate. I bought one to keep as thankful and blessed, and I bought one to create this "'Tis the season to be grateful" sign. So the first thing I want to do is I want to peel off this leaf. I'm using my box cutter X-Acto knife thin blade because I mentioned this in a previous DIY for this on this pumpkin, that this is not a piece of paper stuck on top of a chipboard or MDF. This is just painted MDF. So I can't just peel off the leaf easily because it would probably bend the leaf. So I went ahead under it and I tried to scrape up all of the glue. Now I'm taking some sandpaper. This is a pretty heavy duty grip sandpaper, and I'm making sure not only am I getting the raised areas on the thankful and grateful portion, but I'm also getting where the glue was from the leaf. Okay, and it's going to take a couple of different coats, or a couple of different passes, of the sandpaper. The words are also a little bit raised with the glue from the glitter, so you want to make sure you knock that all down. Now I'm using just wipes to clean it off, get off all the extra glitter, get off all the extra dust. Chalk paint is pretty thick. It's pretty forgiving, basically, so you can go ahead and just use it a little bit, maybe 2 coats if you're having trouble sanding down all the words. So now this is actually in ivory. This is Waverly chalk paint in ivory. I did pour it on there, and I did pour way too much, but I want to show you what you can do. I want you to get a really nice good coat, and I'm going to keep the stem exactly as it was painted at from the Dollar Tree. All right, and when I got paint on it, I just took my wipe and I cleared off whatever paint on it to get a nice clean edge. But we're going to end up sticking the bow back on there, so it's okay. So what I've done is I basically tried to spread it as even as possible. I did a couple of different techniques. We can do back and forth spreading, and then what we're doing now is we're scraping up all the extra. So I'm using my paintbrush almost like a spatula, and I'm just making sure it's an even layer, and then I'm taking off as much paint as I need, but all the while going with the grain of the pumpkin. I know that sounds silly, right? So set it off to dry, and then once it's all dry, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to pencil in the letters. So I wanted to show you here that the Dollar Tree does make the word thankful in this metal signs. You could always just go ahead and use it and then just write in the words "'Tis the season for to be," "'tis the season to be," and then just put the word grateful there. That would be a really pretty option. And that's sign of thankful was actually like the perfect size. So first thing I did was smack in the middle I wrote the words "to be," a little bit low, left and right middle a little bit lower than actual center of the pumpkin. And then underneath it I took a pencil and I started to draw the word thankful. And I did this, I'll show you, it'll be a picture-in-picture during the painting process, but I actually had the actual photograph on my iPad while I was doing this. You could trace it. We have lots of DIYs on our channel where we actually use the like an iPad, like a light box, and you can just trace right off of it. But this one I just freehanded copied from the picture from directly from the Hobby Lobby website. Okay. Now the pumpkin, sure. The color that I'm going to choose is Waverly's chalk paint in pumpkin. And I thought that was such the perfect color. I will tell you though, it is a very sheer color and the pencil lines were showing up. I didn't mind that. I felt like it gave it a lot of dimension. But if you're not happy with your pencil lines, you might want to make sure that you either do 2 coats of paint with the words, or that you can go ahead and erase and fix it to where you really like it first, because it's pretty much going to be there forever once you go over it with the paint. Okay, so I am just the top word I wanted to show you. I'm just using a thin paintbrush and I'm writing the whole thing out in a thin paintbrush. Then I'm going to go back with a little bit of a thicker paintbrush and I'm going to create those heavy downstroke lines that we do with this kind of font. Okay, basically it's a sort of farmhouse sort of calligraphy, and your downstrokes are like if you had a chisel brush, your downstrokes would be wider and your upstrokes would be thin. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. And it's not perfect. I'm not perfect. Trust me, it's not supposed to be perfect. It is farmhouse. It is supposed to be handmade. It is supposed to be, what do we always say? Perfectly imperfect in every way. And that's so 100% true. It really is. I hope you guys just practice, get your mindset to really know that it's just paint. It's just a pencil. It's just an eraser. It's not, you're not chiseling it in stone. You don't have to worry about it. It's not permanent like that. If you don't like the way it comes out, you could just go back over it with paint and start over. Honestly, it's really the truth. You guys, I'm 47 years old and I've been doing this for over 30 years. I've been doing this for probably closer to 40 years because we started when I was about 10 doing lettering because it was kind of popular in 1980. And honestly, I have used more nail polish remover to take off paint pen than you can possibly imagine than I ever used for my nails. So for this second word, I decided to go in with the thicker parts first, which you can do. I just wanted to show you the 2 options. And then I'm going to go ahead back in with the finer paintbrush and fill in those lines that are missing. And again, like I said, it's not perfect. That S up there is not perfect. That O up there is not perfect. But that's okay. I made it. And it did not cost me $8 on clearance. I figured if this thing went on clearance and it was originally $17, it would still be $1.70. This thing cost me $1, so whatever. So I went back in with the Sharpie and I wrote the words "'tis the," and then the inspiration piece actually had sort of a straight font with a little bit wide downstroke letters. So every time there was a line on the left, it made it a little wider. So I went ahead and I just copied that, but that's an option you guys don't have to do if you don't want to. I also went ahead and I added the little vines that were at the top. I put them on with Sharpie for you guys to see what I was doing. But you again can go straight to pencil. You can take your paintbrush out and go straight to paint. You can do it with the Sharpie. The Spanish moss Waverly chalk paint covers the black Sharpie really well. And that's what I ended up using for this with a fine paintbrush. I went over the vines first and then filled in the leaves. I realized I started to write this in like it was a regular laurel leaf, like they always have on our DIYs and stuff. But this one actually had stems before the leaves. So I made a couple that had stems and then a couple that didn't. Just, you make a mistake, you fix it. So if my art teacher, Elaine Kane, used to say, if at first you don't succeed, cut off your head and watch it bleed. And if you took art class in West Hempstead High School, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But honestly, she would say, what are you going to do? You either go back, fix it, live with your mistake, or, move on or take up shop. So while the paintbrush, while I had the paint out, I painted the leaf green, like the inspiration piece. And while the paintbrush had a little bit of green paint on it, I went ahead and I added it to the stem just to give it some change and some mention. So the next thing that I did is while the leaf was drying, I took the original raffia bow. I don't like raffia. I would have picked something else, but this is what they had on there. So I fluffed out the raffia bow and I glued the leaf back on with the leaf pointing down because that's what the inspiration had. Yeah, and what you're thinking, you can't see the words "'tis thee" on the original either. So it had a single hanger over the stem, and that's what I went ahead and added. So here's what it looks like. And that's it. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. If you do, give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family. Anybody who might be interested in saving, I don't know, $25 by buying Dollar Tree signs instead. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. When you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you guys take care. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Bye.